Jacob Burton here from StellaCulinary.com. And check it out. In this video, we're going to go over how to make this a beautiful tri-tip roast that is perfectly executed. Look at that. Look at that doneness. But first, before we get into that, I want to go over the origins briefly of the tri-tip, since it's not a very well-known cut outside of the western United States. Now, while its exact origins are debated, it's an absolute staple in Santa Maria-style barbecue, which hails from the Central Coast region of California. Now, traditionally in this style of barbecue, the tri-tips are rubbed with salt, pepper, and garlic, and cooked over a live fire fueled with the red oak local to the region. Large hand-cranked wheels are used to raise and lower the grill grate to control the live fire cooking temperatures. This style of grilling was developed since maintaining a traditional low and slow temperature is difficult in this often windy environment. Now, the tri-tip started off as an obscure cut, but once discovered, quickly gained traction due to its low cost and great flavor. And even though the price has gone up with its popularity, you can still get it at a much lower price than your premium steak cuts, which come from the loin region of the steer that runs along the interior and exterior of the spinal column. The muscles in this region don't have a heavy workload as compared to other muscles like the shank, which leads to the former being much more tender than the latter. Now, the harder a muscle works, the tougher it becomes due to an increase in connective tissue, which is why steak cuts are prized for their tenderness and ease of cooking. Conversely, the more work a muscle does, the more flavor it develops, and this is why shanks are very flavorful but need to be cooked a long time to break down the connective tissue known as collagen. Now, the tri-tip, on the other hand, comes from the bottom sirloin region of the animal, and it's an intermediate cut, meaning it's not super tender like a steak, but it's also not tough either. It has a moderate amount of fat and connective tissue, and benefits because of this from marination as well as low and slow cooking, which helps to soften the connective tissue, making it more tender. Applicable cooking techniques for this cut are roasting, grilling, and reverse sear, which you can do in your oven or on your grill, which I'm going to show you how to do now. So here I have my trusty Weber kettle with a full chimney of charcoal, and I'm setting up a two-zone cooking system just by placing the charcoal on one side in a stack. I'm going to light one of these here wax cubes to get the fire going. And then in my chimney, don't worry, that charcoal won't light with that match. I don't use that coated crap, right? So in the chimney, I have about an additional 8 to 10 briquettes. I'm going to let those get fired up while I take and rub down my tri-tip with a mixture of salt, pepper, garlic salt, celery salt, and a little bit of turbinado sugar, which isn't traditional, but hey, it's good. But you can put on whatever your favorite beef seasoning is. Now, purists will recognize that this has been denuded or trimmed, which is how it came from the store. If you can get your hands on a tri-tip that has the fat cap on it still, that's what you want to use because fat is flavor, and that's traditionally what's used in California or Santa Maria style tri-tip cooking. Now, about 15 minutes have passed, and you can see the charcoal here has ashed over. So I'm going to go ahead and spread that out along my pile of charcoal briquettes. And this is going to cause a slow burn during the cooking process because I first want to start this off low and slow. So I'm going to set up my cooking thermometer here. And you want a dual temp setup that allows you to have your oven temp, which I set at the top there at 240. And that's going to beep at me if it gets past 240, which is saying, hey, it's too high. And I'm setting my internal temperature for the tri-tip at 115 degrees Fahrenheit. So when it hits that in the core, it'll beep at me and let me know that I'm ready for my next step. Once I have everything set up and ready to rock, I'm going to add on some oak chips, and you can use pecan, apple. It all works good, but oak is classic with the tri-tip. And I'm setting the tri-tip on the cold side of the grill, inserting my probe thermometer so it'll beep at me when it reaches the core temp of 115. And then I'm going to place the lid on top and make sure that I have the vents facing away from the fire side. And that's going to draw the smoke and the heat across the meat and goes out. So I'm going to let this sit there, and I'm aiming for a temp of about 225 degrees Fahrenheit. So I'm going to adjust my little lever down here. Each piece of equipment has its own way of maintaining temperature, but you can see I have a little mark there for my 225. And sometimes you're going to have to adjust the top dampener vents there. Sometimes you're going to have to open them, close them more. That's part of the fun of grilling and backyard barbecue. So here you can see I got a little concerned that my temperature was climbing too rapidly, so I'm halfway closing the top dampener here, and then the bottom dampener is almost all the way closed as well. And again, you're gonna fiddle and adjust and hang out and watch and smell the scents, and you're trying to keep it right at around 225 to 240 for your oven temp. And then when it reaches the core temp of 115, you're gonna go ahead and pull it off. And I have it set at 115, which is rare because I want to eat this right at like mid-rare medium. And we're gonna finish it with a sear. And finishing it with a sear is gonna up temp it. It's gonna apply more heat to the outside. So this is step number one, just to get that nice tenderness and smoky flavor. So I'm gonna open the bottom damper all the way back up because now with the searing, I want to get this baby as hot as possible. So I'm moving around all the charcoal, trying to get some oxygen in there, brushing that grate, making sure the grate's nice and clean. And then that grate get really hot, so then I can just drop this tri-tip on here and sear it as quickly as possible. Now, notice I still leave the probe thermometer in because I want to monitor the internal temperature and make sure I don't overshoot my goal, which is really a max of 130 to 135 degrees Fahrenheit. So give it a nice hard sear. Now, additional step that you can do, which I actually enjoy, is you can just drop a cast iron skillet or a saute pan right on these coals and you can pan sear. And the pan searing is going to give you the best of both worlds because the low and slow smoke gives a ton of flavor and seasoning, right? The pan searing is going to give you the best crust. But if you don't want a pan sear, you can do what I'm doing, which is just grill over the coals. And then right towards the end, an optional and untraditional step is to brush it with a little bit of barbecue sauce. But I had my friend Max Good of AmazingRibs.com. He sent me his Black Swan barbecue sauce to test out. And I used the cognac version on this. And man, it was absolutely delicious. And I'm usually a sauce-free kind of guy, especially on my beef barbecue. But I really, really enjoyed it. So right at the end, if you do want some sauce, when you're about 5 degrees below your goal temperature point, you want to start glazing and flipping, glazing and flipping. And then once you hit about 130 to 135 degrees Fahrenheit, you want to take it off the grill and rest. Now, I know you're excited to cut into this bad boy, but first, we got to go over a couple of pointers for slicing this because it can be a little bit tricky if you don't understand the tri-tip's grain structure. Now, towards this tip here, the grain is pretty easy to see. It's coarser, it's more open, and it runs sort of left to right at a 45-degree angle. Now, once you get into this middle section, you'll notice that the grain flattens out a little bit and runs more or less more horizontal with maybe a slight angle upward. Now, the third portion on the far right, that's where it throws you a curve, and it runs almost the exact opposite direction of the first two sections of the tri-tip. Now, the reason why this is important is if you take your knife and slice along the grain, what happens is you elongate the muscle fibers of the meat, which makes the meat more chewy. Now, if you take your knife, on the other hand, and slice against the grain, then what you're doing is you're shortening the muscle fibers and you're making that slice of meat perceptibly more tender, which is what we're mostly shooting for, right? But I will say this, that if you cook your tri-tip properly, if you don't 100% get the cross-section of the grain completely accurate, it's still going to come out a tasty piece of meat. So after you've allowed the tri-tip to rest for about 10 to 15 minutes or until your patience has ran out, you're going to reevaluate the grain structure. Just formulate a bit of a game plan one last time before you go in for the kill. And once you think you have a good understanding of the grain structure, go ahead and start slicing. You're going to want a long, razor-sharp slicer. If your knife is dull, you're definitely going to have a bad time, especially after you went through all that work to make this beautiful, perfectly cooked tri-tip. And if you've rested it properly, you'll notice there's not a whole lot of juice spilling out around the board. And you can see Cooper, my attack dog there, he's holding guard vigilantly to make sure that beef ninjas don't hop around the corner and steal my tri-tip, which is a very real issue when you cook a tri-tip this perfectly. You got to watch out for that stuff. Now, you will notice that when I put up this image of the cross-section, how perfectly cooked it is from edge to edge and how even the coloring is. And that's because we started low and slow with the smoke, but you can start it in a low and slow oven using the reverse sear technique. Gave it a nice hard sear, gave it a glaze, allowed it to rest, and then sliced across the grain for a beautiful and perfect tri-tip. If you like this video, do me a favor, give that like button there, click a roo, and hit subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the comment section.